my name is McKenna, and I work full-time as a South Bend community member. I also work part-time as a student at Good Shepherd Montessori School, but mainly I'm a 13-year-old who is invested in making the world a better place, starting with South Bend. I participate in a group called the Neighborhood Resource Connections Youth Leadership Council, which is a long way to say a group of students who come together to see how we can inspire great change in our community. For the first week, we take blocks and Legos and create what we think flourishing communities look like. Then, in weeks following, we do art, tell stories, meet with community leaders, look at data, formulate questions, and eventually create projects to help better the community. A couple weeks ago, we traveled to Louisville for a conference about education, where we presented to adults about our projects. After presenting, someone said to us, "So, it's really great that you guys do this with the adults, but what's going to happen when they're gone? I mean, will you keep doing this, or will you go back to doing what normal teenagers do?" And I stopped for a second. I took a deep breath. And I said to them, well, it's not really about the adults. Sure, they're there to guide us, but really, we're taking the lead on this. It's not about what we're doing now, it's about the skills that we'll take away with us when we're done. We're learning how to share our voices. We're learning how to be leaders. And we're teaching people about what we do in the hopes that they will follow. It's not about being normal or not, it's about being passionate to create change. It's like this. Once you learn how to read, you're not done reading. There are thousands of books and novels to explore. There are hundreds of libraries out there. That's kind of how I think about what we do. We want to continue to make a difference. Okay, so I knew that I wasn't the only one in our leadership group who thought this, because we had talked about it before. Others had mentioned that kids make up a large portion of our community, and that we're going to be the leaders later on. The adults were surprised by our responses, maybe because we didn't back down from big questions, maybe because we had ideas and actually knew what we were saying. But mainly, I think it was because they saw that it wasn't just adults who want to help. People want to be engaged. They want to be heard. They want to create change. Then, when we were building our flourishing communities, first we were asked to define flourishing. Someone said, flourishing is like a flower. It's beautiful and it grows. Of course, it needs sun, love, and water, but it grows. Another said, flourishing is for people in cities like South Bend. It's full of happy people who want to help. And lastly, someone else said, I think of flourishing like something that is always moving and has many parts like a machine. I love the responses for many reasons. One, my friends and I were recognizing that we live in a flourishing community to some degree. Also, that to flourish, you need people and cities to always be changing. And lastly, that flourishing is beautiful. Oftentimes, people regard the success of a community by the number of college graduates that live there, or the average income. But in this case, flourishing meant beautiful. It meant that cities can be pretty and full of art and energy and still be very successful. Then, we built our flourishing communities. The things that people built included parks, theaters, schools, public transportation, and things like hospitals, and things like homeless shelters and food banks to support the less fortunate. One group didn't put in a jail, and when asked why by the college student helpers, they said, well, everyone in this community feels loved and connected, so we don't need a jail. There's no way for them to get in trouble, and if they do, we help them. Our group had an arts center, which included all sorts of things from art studios to photography labs. We thought it was important for people to have a way to express themselves. All the groups had schools built with colorful blocks, windows, and huge play spaces. It was agreed that it was mandatory for all children to play. A group on the end had all sustainable local shops. Okay, and then afterwards we were discussing our communities, and one child said, I don't want to put mine away. I like it, and I don't want to not see it again. And then someone said to them, but what if you could? The child looked confused. What if we turned South Bend into that community? And then, instead of looking confused, the child looked him right on and said, yes, let's do that. No question, no insecurity, just pure optimism about what they could accomplish. What if we all took on that attitude? Instead of saying, oh, well, it would be nice, how about that's going to be great when I build it? I can't should become I always knew I could. Because we do live in a flourishing community, but it needs every little bit of help it can get. It needs participation and anticipation. It needs us, Michiana, so let's do it.